Underneath pad 12 is the function called layer mode. And what that means is that it tells you how you want to use controller 1 and controller 2. If I step on the edit foot switch and I hit pad number 12, you see hang. If I hit it again, you see double. If you hit it again, you see melody chord. In fact, you see several different melody chords. And then you see alternate mode, and then you see velocity shift mode. So you're seeing lots of different modes inside the instrument on the layer. Now, do you remember before we said that the PanCat is 2 controllers in one, controller 1 and controller 2. It's like having 2 different sound sources on top of each other. In the normal hang mode, that means that when you play normally, you're just going to hear the sounds from controller 1. If you step on the edit foot switch, if you step on the sustain 2 foot switch, what happens is now you hear the sound from controller number 2. The reason why we call it hang is because you can set the gate time on controller 2 to last forever, called infinite. This way you can sustain a chord and then continue playing on sound number 1, on controller 1. And this is an interesting kind of mode. So the way this works again is that you're using your sustain number 1 foot switch, you're playing a sound, and now you want to get that sustained sound. You step on sustain foot switch number 2, you hit the chord, and it hangs in this infinite setting, and it stays that way until you step on the foot switch. Again, that's foot switch number 2, and then that shuts it off. That's the function of hang. But in this normal kind of hang way, it just means that hang is normal. You get the 1 sound unless you step on sustained foot switch number 2. But if I use double mode, that means now that you're hearing 2 sounds at once, controller number 1 and controller number 2. And in the examples in the factory kits, you'll see some examples where you'll see the word double on the top line. Now you know you're in double mode, and you'll hear what that sounds like. Melody modes are going to be reserved for some future upgrades. We put all those screens in there so that you know they're going to be there. PanCat 2 will show the full functioning melody modes. But alternate mode is now operating, and alternate mode means simply that it alternates between controller 1 and controller 2. Notice on the top line you see ALT, and that means that every time you strike the pad, you hear controller 1, you hear controller 2, you hear controller 1, you hear controller 2. There are some examples of that, again, in the factory kits. They're really cool. Finally, there's another layer mode called velocity shift. And that means that when you play soft, you get 1 sound, and when you get to a certain velocity, it shifts to the other sound. The first sound playing soft is controller 1, and the latter sound is controller 2. You can set this velocity shift point in the global screens, which we'll show you later.